Yes, boys, today's video, 6 years of bodybuilding lessons in 15 minutes. I've set myself a bit of a target here. I have, 15 minutes to absolutely smash this out. So we're going to rush through, no messing about. But essentially, I started when I was 16 in a gym. I'm now 22, so I'm about to give you 6 years of lessons that I've learned the hard way. So you can basically learn and profit from my mistakes, so you don't have to make them, fast track your progress, and get in amazing shape. I've just come back from a run, hence the Arsenal top. If you support Tottenham, fuck you, we're going to win tonight. We've got the coffee, so very high energy. Let's get into it. So, number one, without further ado, it is not 80-20 diet training, right? Everyone says, oh, it's 80 diet, 20 training. Bollocks. No, it's not. Because I'll just say it very, very simply. If you train like a pussy and eat 100% amazingly, like you hit every macro, you hit every micro, you hit every calorie every day, but you train like a pussy, you're not going to grow. Like, you're not getting big. So 80-20 is bollocks. The actual ratio is 33%, so 1/3 training intensity, 1/3 recovery, and 1/3 diet, because you need every single principle to actually build muscle. If you have a high enough training intensity, you're going to stimulate enough growth. If you have the recovery in place, you will actually allow yourself to then recover from that training intensity and actually repair the muscle. And if you have enough calories and you're eating the right amount of protein, then you have enough nutrients to actually fuel that growth. You need all three. You can't just rely on diet and then, training. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. These are the core tenets to actually growing muscle mass. You need all three. I want to just reiterate, you cannot train like a pussy or train 6-7 days a week and eat right and then everything will work out. No, you need recovery, you need training intensity, and you need your diet. So you need to have your calories and macros locked in. You need to be pushing yourself to failure, or at least close to failure, and you need to be recovering. You need to be doing a split that allows your muscles and your nervous system to repair on a consistent basis, and you also need to make sure you're getting enough sleep so you can actually build muscle. Very simply, that's what you need to do. That's number one. Now, number two, track everything. I'm going to give you a very simple analogy. How profitable would a business be if I didn't know what money was coming in and what money was going out? If it didn't know its margins, how profitable would that business be if it just didn't know what's going on? Truth is, it wouldn't be very profitable. And it's the exact same thing with your physique. How elite would your physique be if you don't know what you're actually consuming? You don't know how much protein you're eating, how many calories you're eating. You don't know what you're lifting on a given basis, and you're just guessing. You're leaving everything to guesswork. If you don't track, you simply don't care. You should optimize what can be optimized and execute on the rest. If you are serious about getting into elite shape, then you need to track. If you're not, then fine, make an excuse and then just see where you get. But realistically, you're not going to get far if you're not tracking. If you really, really want it, which I imagine if you're watching the video, you do, you should track everything, because you want to optimize everything that can be optimized and then leave everything else to execution. When I realized this, I made insane progress. From the age of 16 to 18, I just lifted. I kind of did the same thing every single week. I didn't really eat properly. I ate healthy and ate until I was full, but I wasn't eating enough calories. I wasn't tracking the foods I ate. I took all that shit, put that aside, and said, no, if I'm going to go back into a gym now, I'm going to hit every single calorie, every single macro. I'm going to track every lift, and I'm going to improve it every single week. And as a result, I made insane progress. There's a famous quote, Peter Drucker said it: what gets measured gets managed. If you do not track, you do not care. So my best advice to you, if you're not tracking the little things, such as your foods, your macros, your calories, your reps, your weights, your scale weight, if you're not tracking this, then you just don't care, and you're not going to get to your goal as quick as you want to. If you do care, you would track all of this. You would weigh your food, and you would actually have a degree of responsibility when it comes to all of this, because I guarantee you that you will know what's happening when it comes to everything going on with your physique, and you will make more progress as a result. So track everything. Second point. Number three. Okay, we've accidentally skipped ahead. Patience wins. It goes for both fat loss and it goes for building muscle mass. If you rush the fat loss phase and you start on too low calories, if you jump to 2,000 calories and you do 6 days of cardio to start with, you're likely going to lose muscle mass. Now, the reason why is because your body is going to adapt very, very early. In the first 2 to 3 weeks, you will see yourself lose weight. But essentially what will happen is you will get to a point where your body adapts and it's very, very hard for you to lose that weight, which means you then have to drop the calories further. You have to go down to 1,800, 1,600, 1,400, or you have to increase the cardio to put yourself in a large deficit. And then what happens? You lose muscle mass, all because you rushed it. If you have the degree, if you have the mentality of patience, where you start nice and high, you maybe start on, your maintenance, 2,500, test the week, see how it goes. Are we losing weight? Cool. Carry on. If it's not, 2,400, 2.3, and you increase cardio slowly, and you have this tapered strategy, this tapered mentality, then you're going to have a much better cut, because you're not going to lose much muscle, and it means you're going to get leaner much quicker. Same goes for a gaining phase. If you increase your calories too quickly, if you start eating 3.5 to 4,000 calories straight away just because you think that's what you should be eating, you're going to gain unnecessary fat. You want to take a load of time. You want to take your time with the bulking phase, because you want to be gaining a load of lean muscle tissue. You don't want to be gaining fat, because if you rush it, you will gain unnecessary fat. And as a result, you will act out of motion, and then essentially you will want to go back into a cut, which means you're now spending less time building muscle. All of these things come down to the mentality of being patient. If you're patient, you'll always win. But if you're rushing things, things will get in the way, and as a result, you will basically just kind of skip through phases, you will do them wrong. And essentially what will happen is, if you do exactly what I've said here, and you rush the gaining phase and you get a little bit too fat, you're going to act out of emotion after 4 or 5 months, and you're going to go, right, I need to do a cut. And then you're going to do exactly what we talked about in the fat loss phase. You're going to then rush the cut, and as a result, you're going to lose muscle, which then puts you back in the circle. And now you're just in this cycle of suboptimal gains, all because there's one thing that's wrong with you. You're not patient, and you're not doing things the right way. So my best advice is be patient, take things slow, and test your scale weight, test foods, see how your body responds, and do everything slowly. It's not a rush. As long as your lifts are going up, happy days. That's what you're aiming for, right? But just make sure that like you're not just making some stupid decisions with calories or excess cardio, acting out of emotion. Be very rational, create a plan, talk to a coach about creating a plan, and just make sure that you adhere to it with that degree of patience. You will get far. Step number 4. Mistake number 4 even. Optimizing your testosterone. A lot of people don't talk about this. A lot of people talk about, okay, diet, recovery, training intensity. No one actually talks about hormones. Testosterone. There's a reason why bodybuilders literally inject this shit. It's always going to benefit you when it comes to building muscle mass, increasing your energy, increasing your confidence, and also, creating a great level of fat loss in the body, in the physique. So it's in your interest to increase this naturally. I'm not just saying go and get a fucking needle and inject yourself. Like, there's ways you can increase it naturally. Number 1, quality sleep. Like, if you're getting 9 hours of sleep per night, you are going to be in a very, very strong position to produce more testosterone, simply because testosterone produced in the sleep. So high quality sleep will then push you up a few levels. Quality food. If you're settling for the processed food just because of convenience, and you're having, stuff that's just kind of cheap to produce, you're sacrificing your testosterone as a result, because all of this stuff is not good for you. If you're eating the right foods and you're eating high quality food, with testosterone will increase the result. I've made a video on this. It was actually really popular, so you can go back and watch this and exactly how I do so. But the main tenets are obviously heavy lifting. Heavy lifting is really important to increase testosterone. Training legs twice per week as well. If you're training your legs often, your body will produce more testosterone. Vitamin D3 and K2, that's been proven to obviously help testosterone. K2 helps with absorption. D3 shows a slight increase in testosterone in the blood. And then red meat, healthy fats, and eggs. All of this is always going to help. And as a result, if you have more testosterone, you are going to be able to lift more. So think about that, optimize that, and you'll get stronger, and you'll get to where you want to be, physique-wise. So that's number 4. Number 5. Always reassess your split. Every quarter, what I like to do is I like to take a deload week. Even if, my lifts are going up, sometimes I like to. I feel like 3 months is a good time, maybe 4 months. And what I do is I like to review my split. And I sit down with myself and I go, okay, what's working well? Are these movements aligning with, what I want to do with my physique? Okay, cool. Are there any exercises that need changing? Are there any exercises where I'm not progressing on? And I just take all of these and I play around with it. And I take that week off to kind of just relax, let my CNS recover. And then that next week, I go into a complete new training block with a whole different perspective and new different exercises that essentially align with what I want to do with my physique. I make sure that if there's any lagging muscle groups, for example, my legs are not progressing where I want to, if my arms are not getting to where I want to be, that I'm starting with these exercises, I'm training them at a higher volume, and I'm actually incorporating exercises that allow me to progress in those areas. You want to be tailoring your split accordingly. It does not make sense to train muscles that are well developed over muscles that are underdeveloped, because what will happen is you will have, a not very well-rounded physique, and that's not what we want. We want to sculpt this physique, and we want to basically target the weaker areas. If you look at your physique and you're very top heavy, your legs are not where they need to be, you need to be training your legs more, and as a result you will have a well-rounded physique. Simple as that. So always reassess your split and look for gaps and look for errors. Number 6, train everything twice. So this is honestly one of the best advice ever. Like, when you're first starting out, even in like your first 5 years, like, I would not recommend doing like a sort of bro split where you train everything once. The reason why is because upper lower, full body splits, even some variations of push-pull legs are always going to work better because you're training everything twice, and as a result, you're going to get stronger quicker. Provided, obviously, you're not doing push-pull legs 6 times per week. I would not recommend that because just the stress on your body. Like, if you're going to be training to failure 6 times per week, the amount of loads like you'd be putting through your body, you need to be taking frequent deloads. It's not fun. So I'd recommend a split that allows you to train 4 to 5 times per week. That essentially allows you to recover and just make sure you're training everything twice. Best one I've found so far is upper lower, 4 times per week. Monday you do upper, Tuesday you do lower, Wednesday you rest, Thursday you do upper, Friday you rest, Saturday you do lower. You get 3 sleeps in between, which is usually enough for like a natural lifter to recover, provided your sleep is there and provided you're actually just taking everything seriously with your intensity and your recovery protocols. And if you think about this, let's just look at the lower body workouts, right? If you're doing 2 lower body sessions per week, on a monthly basis, you're doing 8, sometimes obviously 9. And if we look at that on a year, that's 96 sessions. Now, the person who does the bro split is only going to be doing 48. And you just tell me right now, 96 sessions versus 48. One, who's going to be better at those exercises? Who's going to have the form down to the T? The guy's done 96, which means he's probably going to know how to do the movement in a much better way. He's probably going to get that mind to muscle connection and get stronger. But even just looking at form from a whole different perspective, 96 versus 48, double the fucking volume. And I've just told you can recover from it. Why would you not do it? So there is an element of understanding that you do need to take some time planning your split. You do need to speak to a coach about what kind of a split is best for you, depending on your physique. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're like 10, 12 years in the gym, like maybe training everything twice probably isn't the best. You probably want to give each muscle group, a degree of care and make sure that they're actually kind of well respected. For example, your arms might need a whole different day. But when you're just kind of like new to the game, and I'm talking like I'm still new to the game, essentially 6 years, I've got more room to grow just through training everything twice. And I feel like doing so is always going to benefit you. So understand that you get stronger quicker and you will get bigger as a result. Now, number 7, prioritize compound and exercise you enjoy. When the JPG era came around, there was a lot of talk about, the fucking single arm lat pull down and all of these optimal exercises. Listen, they're useful. Isolation exercises should definitely be done. But at the end of the day, don't forget your bread and butter, your fucking compounds, the bench press, the squat, the deadlift, variations of these exercises. Anything that is involving different muscle groups is always going to get you stronger, 100%. So don't just be prioritizing isolation exercises. It's not the best way to do things. Heavy compounds are always going to be the ones that build strength. You want to implement these and you want to prioritize these. Every single session should have compounds for every single muscle group to make sure that you are progressing in those areas, and then there should be isolation exercises to supplement them. If you're just doing these exercises for your back and you're forgetting your barbell rows, your deadlifts, you're missing a trick, because this is what develops a well-rounded back. That's something really, really important to consider. Also choose exercises you enjoy, which is why it kind of comes down to what we said about reassessing your split and understanding exactly what you want to do with the physique. Don't do exercises you do not like, because you will not get better at them and you will not actively learn and aim to improve your form, and as a result you're probably not going to get stronger in those exercises. So play around with it, find exercise you like, and just, for the love of God, incorporate compounds. So important. Now, we're running low on time. 8, to get bigger, push your weight up. There's a lot of people who think you can, just cut weight, cut body fat, and just gain substantial amounts of muscle. It's very, very rare. It only really works when you finally, if you're first starting out, because the stimulus is low and you're not used to it. But don't let anyone tell you can gain loads of size whilst cutting. If you look at bodybuilders, like, no one gets fucking massive in the prep and dieting phase. They always get massive in the off season when they're actually pushing their weight up, bulking. The dieting phase just cleans up all the fat. So if you want to get stronger, if you want to build more muscle, understand that always occurs in an off season, a gaining phase, a bulking phase. So if you want to actually build the most amount of muscle, you need to put yourself in a position to bring your weight up. If you want to get bigger, the scale must be going up. So you want to be fueling well, you want to be eating enough calories, you want to be tracking this in proportion to your scale weight, and you want to be making sure that your lifts are going up. That's how you're going to build the largest amount of muscle, and as a result, you're then in a position where you can then cut and then seal that hard work that you've built. But understand, if you want to really make massive leaps when it comes to your physique, you want to be in that gaining phase. Moves on to kind of point number 9, which is spend less time cutting, more time gaining. I made this mistake this year. Can't believe I did it looking back. I spent like 7 months in a cut. Reason why? I wasn't disciplined enough and I was doing it wrong. As a result, I lost a lot of time when I could be in a gaining phase, building more muscle tissue. And the truth is, you want to get in and you want to get out of a cutting phase, a dieting phase, because you want to make sure that you're just getting rid of all that body fat and you're doing it super quick, so you can then give yourself a very, very solid foundation starting point to then basically go into an off-season, a gaining phase. So then you have a very nice runway to push up. If you start when you're at around 12 to 30% and you're wanting to put on 10 to 15 kg, you're going to have to cut it short, or you're going to have to do a dieting phase in between, you know, the off-season, because at the end of the day, you're carrying too much fat. So you want to get lean quickly, and you want to do it to a point where you're, you know, sub 10%, and then you can look at gaining, because then you've obviously got the runway to do so. And also, you want to just be spending more time in that gaining phase. So it's a case of getting in, getting out, get as lean as possible for 5 months max, obviously dependent on kind of what body fat percentage you are, but that's kind of what we're looking at. Don't want to be spending a year in a dieting phase. And then you want to spend the majority of your time in a gaining phase. You want to be bulking, you want to be building as much muscle, and then once you have the muscle, that's the hard part done, then you can look at dieting. It's easier than you think, but you want to be building that solid muscle mass at all times, so when you do come down, you look even bigger, because remember, it's the illusion of looking big. Like, once you fucking get lean, you will always look massive. So remember, the hard work is done in the off season, in the gaining phase, and then when you diet, that's when your work comes alive. So that's number 9. And finally, number 10, high carbs, higher performance. The more carbs you consume, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the more you can lift. The more you can lift, the stronger you get. The stronger you get, the bigger you get. Very, very simple. This is why carbs are important. The higher levels of glycogen you have will 100% correlate with how much weight you can move. How much weight you can move correlates how strong you get, and how strong you get correlates with how big you get. Stop viewing carbs as the enemy. If you are on a bulk, if you are on a cut, carbs will always be fucking useful. You need them to lift solid amounts of weight and to progress your lifts. So just understand that carbs are not the enemy. They can be manipulated in certain areas to make sure that you're obviously not bloating and you look great. So obviously before a competition, bodybuilders would reduce carbs, so kind of flat out, and just get rid of all that water weight, and then spike them just before to get that fuller look, to get the glycogen back in. But realistically, this doesn't matter so much. Like, on your training days, high carbs. On your non-training days, higher fats. But at the same time, like before training and after training, glycogen. You want carbs. Stop viewing carbs as the enemy. They're not the enemy. They're very fucking useful, because they build muscle and get you stronger. So 10 lessons there over my 6 years of bodybuilding. Now, I hope that was very useful. I've kind of rushed through that. 17 minutes. Sorry, I could be sneaky and I could put it on 1.25x. I actually will do that. So yeah, that's the plan. But I hope that was useful. I came across this idea and I figured, fuck it, this would be a really, really good one. So I hope that was useful. Take some notes, take everything with a pinch of salt. If you are unsure of anything I've said, please drop it in the comments. We'll be back tomorrow with another educational video and a little vlog on the weekend, which I'm excited to get out. Other than that, that's pretty much today's video. If you are struggling with anything and you just find all of this confusing, please Instagram, reach out to me, or fill out my type form below and I can get in touch. Other than that, guys, I will leave you to it. All the best. Have a fucking great day, and I will catch you on the next one. See you later.